Okay, hello everyone. I'm going to be talking about suicide in the LGBTQ community, as well as the mental health aspects of suicide and the pressures of living in a heterosexual society. So suicide is the 10th leading cause of death in the United States, and it is the second leading cause of death among young people, according to the CDC. The term young people in this fact represents those between the ages of 15 and 24, so adolescents and young adults, which is a very important population because this is the population where people are really influenced by their peers, and it has a lot to do with peer pressure and all of that, especially as adolescents in high school and in middle school. Suicide is a very important topic in general because it's not really talked about in society, or it doesn't really feel like it's talked about. I don't remember learning about suicide in any of my classes except when I went to college. So it should obviously be talked about more because, you know, of the high rates of death associated with it, especially among children and young adults and adolescents. So although there's no known causes for suicide, I believe it's very important that we take a step and look at what factors influence suicide and the suicidal tendencies. So like I mentioned, I will be talking about the LGBTQ community. Throughout this presentation, I will be referring to this community as sexual minorities. Sexual minorities just simply refers to individuals who have a different sexual orientation or sexual identity than what is heterosexual. So, bisexual, transgender, all of that's what is considered sexual minority. So sexual minorities in general face, great amount of victimization, discrimination, physical, verbal, and even sexual abuse. And it's been like this for quite a while. They've always been discriminated against, and it's pretty, it takes a toll on an individual. So it leads to high risks of depression and high rates of substance abuse and suicide within this community and within sexual minorities. I really want to talk about the sexual minority youth because, like I've mentioned, adolescents, and young adults, they are the bulk of suicide in the US. So I really want to focus on the youth. I want to focus on even before adolescence, so younger than, let's say, 15, because, you're learning so much already when you're younger, and I feel like it'll play an important role when you grow up. So sexual minorities do face already they are 3 times more likely to consider suicide, 4.5 times more likely to attempt suicide, and in general are more likely to feel sad or hopeless, which can lead to depression and depressive thoughts, lead to suicide planning, suicide ideation, and all of that. So I really want to focus on bullying with the sexual minority youth, just because I believe that bullying does play an important role on your mental health. It affects, everything really, your self-worth, your self-esteem, and all of that, especially as a young adult who doesn't really quite know where they're at in society, especially because they're just getting these feelings that they know they are different, but they don't know how to express it. So I just got this quote: 1 in 4 students say that they have been bullied. This is a very important, statement, though it doesn't really filter out who is the LGBTQ community and any of that. It's very important to look at because, bullying is a problem in school. So in general, sexual minorities are already at higher risk of being homeless, of using drugs, and that alcohol and substance abuse. They're also more likely to be verbally abused and harassed for sexual orientation and gender expression, and they don't feel safe at school. They don't feel safe in their community, and it's very important that we address this. So like I said, there have been a lot of studies that show, like, in general, bullying has a great effect on your mental health, especially as young children. As I've mentioned, this is a time where you are trying to get fit in with your peers, and so you don't want to feel different, and you want to feel accepted, basically, within your community. Studies have shown that sexual minorities already realize that they are different than the majority group when they are adolescents, and that's in their high school and junior high school years. So they realize that they are different, and then they are at higher risk of being depressed because they know their differences and because they are discriminated against and victimized against because of their sexual orientation and gender expression. So again, it is a very important thing in regards to mental health, how it affects a child and all that. So acceptance is important. There have been studies that show acceptance in school, as well as the family, household, as well as in the community, is very important, because those sexual minorities who do not have that support system, especially within family and friends, are at a higher risk of committing suicide and having depressive thoughts, having suicide planning, and all of that. So like I said, they are at higher risk for committing suicide when they don't have that support system. And acceptance is very important within any community, really. So what is being done for suicide and the LGBTQ community, or for sexual minorities? There are programs in schools, such as the Gay Straight Alliance program, that basically offers education to those who want to learn more about the LGBT community and sexual minorities, and about them, how to approach them, how to talk to them, and stuff like that. So those programs consist of things like that, as well as a sense of community and a safe place for sexual minorities to go to talk to someone, to speak to someone about their problems. The Fair Education Act is a policy implemented in California that teaches kids about sexual minorities and those with disabilities in history and social sciences classes. So they're included inside the textbooks, and they're making it more friendly for sexual minorities, and so that people are more accepted and they feel normalized. There are also plenty of online resources for suicide within sexual minorities. I know the Trevor Project is a very important website that sexual minorities use to address their feelings and concerns about depression and their thoughts in regards to suicide. I know that there's been plenty of resources that I've used for the paper and for this presentation in regards to the Trevor Project, and it says a lot of sexual minorities utilize this because it is anonymous. So they do like that feeling of writing down their thoughts anonymously and getting that feedback from people that are just like them. Now I'm posting this picture here because it is Jamal Myers, I believe his name is. He is a 9-year-old kid who committed suicide after being bullied at school. The story goes, the mom says that he came out as being a homosexual to her, and he was very proud of that moment, but apparently he was been bullied in school, and it led to his suicide ultimately because he was different than his peers. So that's my presentation. Again, I believe that suicide is a very important topic to speak about, as well as just addressing bullying and anything like that within society, especially for young children, because they do have those depressive thoughts and they don't feel normal in society, or like that they have that low self-esteem, which can lead to depressive thoughts and all of that. So that's why I mostly focused on bullying and that with sexual minorities, because I think that addressing it as, when you're younger as a child is more important, because it does affect our youth ultimately. But so hopefully you enjoyed it, and thank you for watching.